Hi, welcome to my video on find the range from a linear equation given the domain. So we're trying to find the range, which is the y values, given the equation and given the domain, which is the values of x. So x is -3. So if I sub the -3 in, I can come up with the value of y. So -12 minus 6, -18. And now we're going to put 0 in the place of x. So 4 times x minus 6. 0 minus 6 is -6. And put 1 in the place of x right there. We're subbing in 1. And that's a 6, make sure. 4 minus 6 is -2. So the range values are the y values. So we have -18, -6, -2. And this is the equation. Y equals 2/3 x plus 4. The values of the domain are -6, 3, and 9. Those are the values of x. So let's work out the value of y for each value of x. And that will give us the range. So 3 into -6 goes -2. So that's 4 plus 4 gives us 8. Y equals -2/3. X is 3 plus 4. 3 cancels in once. That gives us -2 plus 4 is 2. Y equals -2/3. X is 9. Putting 9 in the place of x. And 3 cancels into 9 3 times. So -6 plus 4 is -2. So your range, which is your y values, are 8, 2, and -2. Now you can put them in order if you want. You can also say the range values are 2, -2, 2, and 8. But we know that the -6 gave us the 8, but we're just saying what are the range values. It didn't say how you want them written, so your choice. C, we have an equation y equals x plus 2. The domain are the values of x less than or equal to 3, and we're talking about the set of integers. So one way is to do a table of values, x and y. The values of the domain, or x, is less than or equal to 3. So let's start with a 3. Less than is a 2 and a 1. Let's plug these values of x into the equation. So y equals x minus 2. So let's go 3 minus 2. X is 3. We get a 1. And we have x is 2. So 2 minus 2 is 0. X is 1. So put a 1 in. 1 minus 2 is -1. So if we plug the values of x in, just some of them, and we should start with the one that's on the inequality, which is 3. So the range are these values. So the range, let's see, if you start with a 3, then a range has to start with a 1. So, okay, it starts with a 1, and the range is going 1, 0, -1. So the range is going less than. They're going down. And we also have a 3, so we can have a 3, we can have a 1, so that's equal to. And belongs to the set of integers. But the integral notation, that's the answer, but the integral notation could be, it's going to start at a 1, but it's a square bracket, because it's equal to, start at a 1, and we're going less than, so we're going to -infinity. That's open. Or we could graph and say x, the y-intercept is -2, the slope is 1. We can start with the y-intercept of -2. I was going to plot 2 then. Y-intercept is -2. And we will go, slope is 1 over 1, so we go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. These are the set of dots that's on the graph. But we can only start at a -3. So even though I put all these in, this is only starting at a -3 and going less. Sorry, starting at 3 and going less. So that means I can start with this one, and 3 is solid, equal sign, so I can make that a solid dot. And that means I can have this one and this one, because x is less than, so I'm working with the points going this way. So here they are. So these are only dots. So notice as I go this way, the y value is 1. So the y is 1, 0, -1, etc., etc. So the y is going down, which is less. So this is correct. D. Y equals -2x plus 1 when the domain is x is greater than 1 for the reals. So let's try a table of values again. X and y. And the domain values are x greater than 1. So let's start it at 1. Always start with the number that you're given in your domain, and then greater than 1 is a 2 and a 3. I'm using these numbers, so let's plug them in. -2, put a 1 in the place of x, and work it out. -2 plus 1 is -1. And we're going to put 2 in the place of x, add on 1. -4 plus 1 is -3. And we're going to put 3 in the place of x, and -6 plus 1 is -5. So 2 gave me -3, 3 gave me -5, and we're doing the range. So the range is the y values. So the y values are starting at -1. Okay, y, and there's no equal sign, so we can't have -1 is can't be. Can't have 1, we can't have a -1. And notice that we got a -1, -3, -5. So the y values are going to getting not greater, they're getting less. So it's less than. But there's no bar here because there's no equal sign. You can't have the 1, so you can't have the -1. But it starts at -1 and it goes less. And it's on the real numbers, and the notation is that it starts at a -1, but it's a round bracket, -1, and it's going less, so it's a negative infinity. And let's look at the graph. -2 is the slope, 1 is the y-intercept, so the y-intercept is 1. And we're going -2 over 1, so we're going down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. So these dots, this line through these dots is what we're talking about, but we can only start at a -1 at where x is 1 and greater. So this graph starts right here, but we're not allowed to have that point. That's a hollow dot, and going, this is the graph that represents. So even though I started with this dot, when I did it from the slope intercept point of view, I can't have that point because that point is where x is 0. So this is the values, this is the graph. So x is swinging as x is going to the right, this is going down, so the y values are going down, as you can see, and down from the -1. So it makes sense. Table of values, graph. So let's work with the table of values. I have the graph there, so I'm doing both. And y equals 2x plus 2. So let's work with this one. And the domain is -2, less than equal x, less than 1. And we got reals. So let's do a table of values and see what happens. X and y. We have x is -2 and -1 and 0 up to a 1. So we're going from -2 to a 1, and we're taking both ends. Now we're plugging in the negative 2 in the place of x. We're plugging in negative 2 in the place of x. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. We're putting negative 1 in the place of x. What happens when you put these values in, you're working out the y values. So that's negative 2 plus 2 is a 0. So let's put the negative 2 in. Negative 1 gives me a 0. And let's put the 0 in for x and work it out. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. We're going to put the 1 in for x. 2 plus 2 is 4. So let's see what, this is an interval, so that means the range is going to have that interval. So what did the negative 2 give me? Negative 2. What did the 1 give me? The 1 gave me a 4. Let's put it in. And these are the y values. So negative 2, equal sign. So this is a less and a less. Negative 2 is less than y, less than 4. We're equal to negative 2. So we got a negative 2 for x. We're allowed to have a negative 2 for y. So that's a bar there. We're not allowed to have 1 for the x. So we can't have the 4 for the y. So that's a no bar there. Is not equal to. And so the notation for that is negative 2 interval notation. It's equal to negative 2, so it's a square bracket, not equal to 4, so it's just a circular bracket. And let's look at the graph of that. We have a graph of x is 2, the slope is 2 over 1, the y-intercept is 2. So the y-intercept is 2, there. And the slope is up 2, right 1. There's another point. And we can go up 2, right 1 again if we want to do that. Or instead of going up 2, right 1, we can go down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. So these are the points that lie on this line. But we're only looking at the interval between x's negative 2 to a 1. So the x value is negative 2. So we're looking at this point up to where x is 1, which is this point. So we're only looking at these. So we're only looking at, again, we can shade this in because we're talking about real numbers, not just the dots. And the negative 2 is solid, is included because it's equal to, and the 1, when x is 1, is hollow because it's didn't say equal to. So the y values are going from negative 2 up to a 4, equal to negative 2, not equal to 4. Just looking at the graph. Practice. Let's do some more. But you can go ahead this time. You can write down the question and work out these answers and press play to see if you're right. And here we go. X domain is negative 1, 4/5, and 2. So that means that's the value of x. X is negative 1. Sub it in. 5 minus 7, negative 2. And write down the equation again, putting in 4/5 for x. 4/5 go in. And 5 cancels to get negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 minus negative 11. And we're putting in 2 in the place of x. That gives us negative 10 minus 7, negative 17. So that's your domain values. So your range values, which is your values of y, are, if you want to put them in order, you can go with negative 17, negative 11, negative 2. Or you can write them down as negative 2, negative 11, negative 17, whatever. But those are the range values. And number 2, we have these domain values. So that means we sub them in negative 6 for x. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to sub each one of these in, negative 2 for x. And I'm going to sub the 4 in for x. And so I subbed in negative 6 for x, I subbed in the negative 2 for x, I subbed into 4 for the x, and I worked them out. 2 into negative 6 goes negative 3, negative 15 plus 5 is negative 10, and 2 into negative 2 goes negative 1, negative 5 plus 5 is 0. 2 into 4 goes 2, so that gives me 10 plus 5 is 15. Notice the 4 is over 1, so you're canceling. 2 into 4 goes 2. And this, your range is, the values of your range are negative 10, 0, 15. Again, to remind you that these are the range values, so negative 6 and negative 10 is the ordered pairs. So that's the x and that's the y of a point. Negative 2 and 0 are the x and y coordinates of a point. 4 and 15 are the x coordinates of a point. Okay, here we go. Another one, y equals negative x plus 2, where the domain x is less than negative 1, belonging to the integers. So let's do a table of values. And x starts off at negative 1 less than, which is negative 2, negative 3. Let's plug those in. X is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay. Here we go. So we plug that in. The negative of a negative 1 plus 2 gives me 1 plus 2 gives me a 3. And negative, there's the negative of, there's the negative of a negative 2 plus 2. This 2 plus 2 is 4. And that's the negative of a negative 3 plus 2 is 3 plus 2 is 5. So I get a 3, a 4, and a 5. So notice I started with negative 1, then I did negative 2, negative 3, plugged them in. So a negative of a negative is a positive. So you can see the numbers. So that means if you look at that, the range, x starts at negative 1, so the y starts at 3. And the y values are going up, so it's greater than. It's not, you can't have negative 1, so you can't have the 3, so there's no bar here. And y belongs to the integers, because there's integers here, are going to be integers here. So the y starts at 3, and going up, so it's going to plus infinity. And if we did the graph, we get a 2. The y-intercept is 2, which is here. The slope is negative 1, negative 1 over 1, so you go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And you can also go, instead of going down 1, right 1, you can go up and to the left. You can go up 1, left 1. But even though these are the dots that I have on right now, I can only start at the negative 1, but I can't have that. I can't have the negative 1. So I can't have that point. And I can't have these. So really, I got this one. I have this one and this one. These are the ones that I can have, the one that's on this side. So that means the y starts at 3. As you can see, the y is 3 right there. The y is going up. So the table of values is, helps you out. Table of values you do first, and then the graph is only a check. So here we go. Another one. Pause the video and work these out. So the x values is greater. Y equals half x minus 3 is the line. We're going to graph the domain x's is greater than or equal to 0 on the real numbers. So the table of values, here we go. X is greater than or equal to 0, so 0 equal is 1 and 2. Now, because I have a half, if I go 0, 1, 2, it's okay. But if I do multiples of 2, then I won't get any fractions. So if I go 0, 2, and 4, that will not give me any decimals or fractions when values of y. So I'm picking values of x greater than 0, but they're going to be multiples of 2. So put a 0 in, a half of 0 minus 3, 0 minus 3, negative 3. Putting 2 in, 2 minus half of 2, they cancel, they give me 1. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And a half of 4 minus 3, half of 4 is 2. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So 0 gave me negative 3. 2 gave me negative 2. And 4 gave me negative 1. So let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have. We have 0. So the range is the x value started as 0. So that means the y values are going to start at negative 3. And the y values are going down. Notice negative, y is negative 3. X is negative 2. Negative 3. Negative 2, negative 1. That means the y values are going up. As you can see, they're getting greater. And we're allowed to have 0, so we're allowed to have a negative 3. So there's the inequality. So this y starts at negative 3, and it's a square bracket because it's equal to, and it's going up, so it's a plus infinity if you want to use the integral notation. And the graph, y is negative 3, which is right here, y-intercept, and we're going up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. So these are, we can go down 1, left. So these are the dots, but these values of x, these are the dots that are on the line, but this only, x starts at 0, and that point is included, and we're going to the right, and it's, notice, it's a solid line, it's shaded in, and the y values are going greater. Notice the y values is negative 3, right? And I got a little here, that's, should be sideways here. That should be negative 2 there. Okay, make sure x is positive, y is positive. That's x negative, y is negative. Just the graph is just twisted around a bit. So anyway, that's the answer. Y is greater than negative 3. Number 5, let's look at a table of values. This is the equation. Y equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. And we have the domain is this interval. So let's do the x values of 0, 1, 2, 0 to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we put them all in, then we'll see what's happening. So we start with a 0 and we go to 4. Let's put a 0 in for x and add 3. 0 times negative 3/4 times 0 is 0 plus 3 gives you 3. Negative 3/4. Oh, I know what to do. I put a 1 in. But really, if I put these in, what'll happen? I'll get fractions. So why don't I just skip those and go 0 and 4, and I can go, if I want to go with an 8, if I put the 1 in, I'm going to get some fractions, and that's hard to graph the fraction decimals. So let's put a 0 in and a 4 in and see what happens. We could put an 8 in, I could put negative 4 in, but let's put 0 and 4 in. So let's put negative 3/4 and a 4 plus 3. So 4 cancels 1, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So I put a 0 in, I get a 3. I put a 4 in, I get a 0. So, what's your range? Let's see what the range is. So, if 0 gave me a 3 and 4 gave me a 0, so my range is going, my number is going from 3 to a 0 on the y. So that means the y is going to be starting at 3, and it's 3 to a 0 is less. So I'm not allowed to have a 3, but I'm allowed to have a 4. So I can't put that interval in. This is an interval. I can't go y is less than 3 or greater than 3. I can't put that in because I got an interval. So that means I can start with 0. So that means I'm going to start with 3. So let's see, I got a 3, and I'm going to end with a 0. So that means if I twist it around, 0 and 3 to keep the smallest, and put the y in the middle, I could go from 3 to 0, but then I use a greater than symbol. If I go from 0 to 3, I use a less than. And if I have this, a 4 gave me a 0, so it's an equal there and no equal there. So there's the notation. So you got to be careful when you're graphing. Use multiples of 4. I was going to use 1, 2. No, that will give me fractions or decimals, so I'd rather use 0 and just a 4. I could use an 8 and get another point, but I don't have enough grid here to mark 8 off. And let's see, the y-intercept is 3 right there. And I'm going, slope is down 3, right 4. Down 3, right 4. So as it happens, that I start at 0 and go to 4. So there it is there. That's the interval from 0 to 4. And notice the y value is going from 0 up to 3. And you can see that 0 is, the 0 for x is not included. But the 4 for the x is included. So that's a hollow and that's a solid. So the y goes from 0 up to 3, and 0 is solid. So the y got a solid dot, so it's included. Whereas 3 is not, because it's hollow. So just be careful when you go to graph. Think, like I just had a little slip there, and I was going to use 1, 2, 3. Yes, I would have got decimals plotting in, but I could have worked it out. It would have worked okay. But keep the numbers when you're using fractions for slope. That you use multiples of your denominator, and then you get no decimals, no fractions. Number 6, let's solve this one. We want to, this is standard form, but let's solve it for y. So the 4x goes over to the right, become negative. Divide all terms by 2, so y equals negative 2x plus 4. So that's the equation in slope-intercept form, because when it's in slope y-intercept form, it's easy to work out the values of y, because it's easy to plug in the values of x. So the values of x are greater than 1. So start at 1 and go to 2 and go to 3. So let's put a 1 in and work it out. So negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Put a 2 in. Negative 2, and we'll put a 2 in the place of x. 4 minus, 4, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Let's put a 3 in the place of x. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And so 2 gave me a 0. A 3 gave me negative 2. So your range is your y values. So the y values are starting at 1, but that means y values can't start at 1. So you can't start at 2. So 2 is no equal sign. And the y values are 2, 0, negative 2. The y values are going down, so it's less than. There's no equal sign because you can't have 1, you can't have 2. So this point is not in this graph. But all other points of x is 2 and 3 and so on. So that's your range. And that starts at open at 2, open at 2, going less than to negative infinity. And that's open to, always open with infinities. So we have a 4, y-intercept is 4, which is right there. And the slope is negative 2 over 1, which you're going down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, etc. These are the dots that's on the line, these dots. But I have to go x is greater than 1. So I'm not allowed to use x is 1. When x is 1, y is 2. I can't have that point. That point is like that. But I can have the values of x. So notice, these are not just dots. These are shading in. So there it is. So the range is the y value starts at 2 and is less. You can't have equal to 2. So it's less. It's going to negative infinity. You got to be careful graphing these because it's so easy to get mixed up. Hopefully, if you click the like button if you like my video, and be a subscriber if you wish, and click the notification bell. More videos are coming your way. Write a comment on my video if you wish. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com. And you have 3 sections, one on me, my degrees and teaching experience. The section on videos talks about the strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. And the section on content talks about the topics and the number of videos on those topics that I'm going to have on my YouTube channel. The black font is what's online right now, and the red font is what will be there in the near future. Hope you enjoyed my video. Bye-bye.